Nobody is talking about the importance of progression for the next Battlefield game. In my opinion, a crucial system for player retention. The name is Ace, welcome back. With each patch in Battlefield since Battlefield 3, I think progression has gotten less and less relevant for EA and DICE. But I'm of the opinion that having a engaging progression that gives rewards even if they are symbolic or straight up upgrades for your weapons and vehicles is quite important. I mentioned Battlefield 3 earlier because I think progression was really something else in the game. It was very special, and in some ways, it kept me coming back to the gold game for all those years. I'm sure you all did the legendary Colonel 100 rank grind in Battlefield 3. It was something special. In fact, it was a cult thing, so much that it was even covered in an episode of Battlefield Friends all those years back. For my younger viewers, go watch that episode on YouTube if you haven't so far. It meant something to reach that level 100. Yes, it held no competitive value and you can be good or bad as Colonel level 100. But that's not the point here. The point was you logging in every day and playing the game, chasing something, and this is just one example. This all translated to two very important words that every gaming giant is chasing today: player retention. But it seems to me that many of these companies chasing these holy words forgot about the key recipe, which is progression. If you enjoyed this video so far, gamers, consider leaving me a like and sub. I'll be posting Battlefield content very often, and even more so when the new game is out. Thank you so much. Colonel 100 is mostly symbolic progression. So let's take a look at some actual rewards we would get leveling some of the vehicles in Battlefield 3. Let's take main battle tank as an example. We had 13 upgrades to unlock and all of them were very good. But it took some time for you to get it, and as you're spending time in the tank to get these upgrades, you're also getting a little bit more familiar with the tank and you're leaving your comfort bubble if you're an infantry player. And perhaps it became a thing you use much more often than usual, or you straight up just became a dedicated tank driver. Now, this is a hot take from me here, but if you never had any reason to sit in the tank for that long, this would never happen. Just take a look at Delta Force vehicles, nobody cares about them. Instead, you went in the Battlefield 3 tank, you shot a few tank shots and noticed, hey, I don't have, a secondary weapon for main battle tank, how do I get this? Then you looked at the progression on Batlog and you saw, I need, 10,000 main battle tank score. And then you played a few matches. Then you unlocked the coaxial LMG and you had even more fun in the tank, and you just kept playing and playing until you just became a goddamn tank, I guess. And this is, guys, just one example of one vehicle in Battlefield 3. If we go back to your so-called rank in Battlefield 3, well, early on that mattered as well, as you were unlocking weapons, squad upgrades, and also attachments and camos for your weapons and your soldiers. Here's one of my own stories. When I started Battlefield 3, US AS-12 automatic shotgun was the best gun in the game with the frag runs. So I had to reach Colonel Semester 3 or simply level 43 and then get 60 kills with the gun to try out the god gun at the time. This for me as a young guy who was working was quite the grind, but I was looking forward to it. And then when I finally got it, well, it got nerfed, but hey, it felt nice knowing I finally got this gun and it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside and made me like the game even more. Then Battlefield 4 came out, for example, and progression felt foreign to me quick. Yes, it had some progression still, but I was level 100 very fast and had everything in the first few weeks of the launch basically. I'm not advocating here for gatekeeping people who have no time to play, but I think a solid mix of Battlefield 4's faster progression and Battlefield 3's meaningful rewards for that progression and unlocks would be a good place to start. We also need to think about how to reward people who play the game a lot and log in every day and make the game successful. I think they achieved this in Battlefield 3, for example, with this very cool dog tags. Here is, for example, my 100 service star in tank dog tag thingy. They also got rid of those in Battlefield 4 sadly, but it was yet another thing to look forward to. So it was not everything just about playing for kills and wins and the stats. We gradually worked towards something that will enrich our experience or leave us with a very cool memory, like this Battlefield 3 dog tags. Something should be done with platoons as well. Bring them back, let them have their own progression for some camos or some dog tags as well. In Battlefield 4, for example, one of the very cool things about that game was having your own emblem. I know this isn't progression, it's customization. But it's another good example of something super small becoming a cult thing in Battlefield 4 community, and seeing what people were coming up with. You could even, for example, search for codes online if you liked one particular emblem that you didn't know how to create yourself. Basically, my point here is, this all added up to people looking for Battlefield things, to people talking about Battlefield things, and finally people caring about the game. Just from these minor, super easy things to do. Emblem, it was a JPEG, guys, and people, typed how to create my emblem, Battlefield 4, create an emblem, Battlefield 4, how to make a platoon emblem. You see what I'm going at here, super small things, but they're just making the game that game. They're giving something unique to that particular game. To go back onto the progression, Hardline, for example, had an interesting take on progression as well, by introducing the so-called cash mechanic, and later that was rebranded as war bonds in Battlefield 1. That was the era where they attempted something different in progression. So in Battlefield Hardline, you earned cash from kills objectives, and match performance. And then you spend it directly on weapons, gadgets, and attachments. You can buy, if I'm not mistaken, almost anything for cash in Hardline, except a few minor weapons that require you to do some syndicate challenges. And then comes Battlefield 1, you earned Warborns, which were basically cash rebranded, by leveling up, and you can use them to unlock weapons and gear. However, the minor difference was that unlike Hardline system, you couldn't just grind that cash. You had to rank up with a specific class to unlock access to new weapons before you could spend Warborns on them. Both of these systems were fine, in my opinion, and of course, unique to each game. We just mentioned about the emblems, how, we need something unique to those games, but I don't think, downplaying progression to having, some cash or some Warborns is the way to go. I just think something different like an emblem is a better way to go here. What do you think about this, gamers? Like, how do you feel about progression? Is this important to you? Do you don't care? What is your favorite progression? BF3, BF4, BF1, Hardline, BF5, some of the earlier Battlefields? Just let me know in the comment section. I'm very curious about this topic. I think we really need to clear this up before the game comes out. And, I kind of want everybody to be on the same page here about progression being super important. For me personally, like I mentioned earlier, it will be a mix of Battlefield 3 progression system with Battlefield 4 system. I like that everything was a little bit faster in Battlefield 4, because I understand today not everybody has time to grind BF3 and get 100 tank service star and achieve those dock tags or service stars and so on. I understand that. But I still think it's something that should be reserved for people who play the game a lot. If you want to have that super cool tank dock tag, then you gotta play tank, you gotta play a lot, you gotta get a lot of service stars. But I also don't want that it's like super gate capped. I want some good balance, I want some good midpoint. Let me know how you feel about that, and please, like I said, give me your suggestions how you would want the progression system to be for yourself. Guys, if you enjoyed watching this video, leave a like and subscribe. I would love to keep providing content for you, so please consider doing those two things for me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Have a very good day. Bye-bye.